Libra. I did pull one for June, and I might go back to do that, although I did have, it did look like the last couple of weeks of June might be a bit challenging. So I'll go back to that one here in a minute. But right now, let's just kind of look at some of the good things that are coming in for July. Okay, so what I see here right off the bat, and I did pre-pull just for the sake of time, is we are, and how I read my cards, we are looking at, I'll look at them individually and then I'll look at the clarifiers and then we'll kind of go through each one, tie the whole thing in together. So I am asking for some of the highlights, some of the obstacles, that kind of thing. And so again, this is a predominantly, whoever this resonates for is, of course, as well. But it seems to be predominantly kind of along a focus around some changes that are up and coming, but it seems to be on the financial front. So money finance is what I'm also seeing basically as the start of this. Certainly there are other elements, but as far as the as far as the major arcana, I don't really see anything there in that in July that stands out. I do see a lot of levels of independence, self-sufficiency. There is some kind of a celebration or something that's coming up as well in the month of July. And I do feel like there is going to be some element of change that is going to be coming through here, further out. But anyway, let's just kind of get right into it. So again, I'll just start off with the main events. So basically we are looking at the Four of Pentacles. That is a card of kind of holding back. Certainly can be in around the finances as well. Fours are all about stability. So there's something there about something that you're planning stable and solid. And it does feel like you're really focused on the finances for this period. Like I said, Four of Pentacles also kind of indicates that there is something here about self-sufficiency with the Nine of Pentacles in here as well. We also have the Three of Pentacles. It's like something is leveling up or moving into a higher level of, protection or feeling as though you have something to go after, establishing yourself. It's more of a firm foundation, and it certainly feels like you're in that level of really you are clinging to something possibly that's a little more familiar here, I would say as well, but it's more along the lines of, doesn't mean familiar as in you've done this all along, but it could be, but it certainly does feel like it's something traditional, and it does feel very well rooted. So that's what I would say is your financial base seems to be pretty significant in this period. And again, I feel like you're working hard to reach your goals. There's some kind of accomplishment or something you really are trying to establish. Like I said, there's a lot of cards of finances coming through and independence. Certainly with the Three of Cups, it looks like there's some kind of new that's also coming in, but we'll get to that here in a minute. So either way, I would say at this point, you are opening yourself up to some kind of new ideas. Now, we also have the Knight of Wands. This is also a card of, infant coming in. There's movement here. Something is definitely coming in a little bit more quickly here, and this could very well be also established as a person. Knight of Wands also indicates could be around travel, although usually I see a Six of Swords with that as well, but for the most part, it's an eagerness to move into some kind of domain of something that's a little bit more adventurous. So I feel like you are in that space of finding the pieces to a larger puzzle. So you're really trying to connect the dots, get on with something here. It's definitely something that's going to last. It's got some elements here of moving quickly, as I said, and it feels like there's something very positive that's going to change for you very soon, very quickly, if not in the month of July, very soon after. Because this can also represent as a person for some of you. Well, this would be a very charismatic person, somebody who's kind of in and out, but it does feel like it's also, it's a level of inconsistency, but the money might also be a little bit inconsistent, but it is still moving in a little bit faster. So despite that flux, I still feel like you are, paired with really solid cards of establishing yourself financially. So it does seem to be where a period of growth is happening in financial area, in this section. It starts in the month of July, something here in around that. Now, there's also something here about, yes, it is moving forward, and it does feel like there's extra cash, something that's coming in this period, and I definitely feel as far as a relationship situation, it does feel like this is something that kind of speaks to somebody that pursued you very hard, but the primary card out is somebody's holding back. So one person may be holding back, the other is, coming in a little fast and furious, that kind of thing. But it also seems like they could also get very bored very easily, whether this is you or them. So I do feel like there is something that will, kind of move along further, in as far as the relationship. Something is going to kind of move along in the month of July. It'll be kind of feeling a little bit fresh again. Somebody's actively pursuing you in some way, but something is going to kind of up level in that area. But again, financially, I still feel like there's a strong focus there as well. Now, we also have cards of the Nine of Pentacles. And of course, and again, we'll tie this all in as well later. But for the moment, Nine of Pentacles is a very independent card. It's, kind of relying on your own financial resources, that kind of thing. But it certainly speaks to more money coming your way. It certainly also speaks to improvements. So something that you're trying to improve, whether this is the value of your house, whether this is the value of your state of your, conditions in some way, you're trying to upscale something here. And certainly because of that Three of Pentacles, that's, also indicating the same thing. So it feels like you want something to improve nonetheless, and it feels like you're able to do that. You're able to make something, to improve something in some way financially. So again, there's a vast improvement from what something was previously, and it definitely feels like, there's more self-reliance. It does feel like you're kind of independent in this month, doing things, more along your identifying things, that you need. So more self-reliant, but also more self-focused, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But again, I do feel like there's, something here that could be around a social event or something that also, but it's a lot of science, but it's still around a social event or something here that's going to be upscaling things as well. As far as romance, I would say that there is something here about, upgrading it in some way where it's kind of something to the next level, like whether it might be just, establishing more of a communication, might be on a smaller scale, but either way, you're all at different timelines. So, take it as it resonates, but I do think something is kind of improving on some level. It does seem to be less on the emotional front and more along the lines of kind of an, more on a financial front. So whether this is, achieving something in more of a tangible physical way, I mean, there is emotion here, but it seems like less of that kind of bond and more of, something being exchanged on a financial level. Now we get to the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups is all about, threes are for sure, in around growth, abundance, and collaborating, refining plans, group activities, anything like that. But I still feel like Three of Cups tells me that there's some kind of event or something that's coming up here in this month for you. So I definitely feel like it's going to be some kind of social gathering or whatever. So there's also something here about it allows you to move forward anyway in a positive way. So whether there was some kind of there's a new start, possibly with somebody here, in around a social friendship base. But I do feel like there's something that's, something that's advancing in that area. So if there was some kind of a divide in a connection, I feel like is going to be a reconnection. So there's something here about an engagement or some kind of reunion or some kind of, something, again, representing September, August, September as well. But there is something that's moving ahead there. There is some very good cards here, like I said, about a lot of improvements. And I would say, not only with the Ace of Wands do we have an improvement. Again, this is a little further out. It is the clarifier, but it's also something that kind of speaks to a bit of a surprise energy or an enterprising energy. But there's growth even in a creative base for some. And again, I do feel like for love, this would be like a new passion or something that's starting, and maybe possibly meeting this person at a gathering here. But there is some kind of energy here. And again, this kind of represents that June, July, August, September sort of energy, or summer energy rather, not September, but it's still a new beginning, something very exciting. And I do feel like this is going to help you to think about a new journey. You're going to be striking out on your own, a new chapter's beginning. This can be a new relationship or new chemistry for others, but something of meaning is much more powerful in this period, in the month of July. This can be also finances increasing. And again, there's something around a social event that is may or may not part of that for others, but I certainly feel like there's something that's going to develop as an opportunity and it's going to kind of sweep in. So it's again something around advancement in some way. But I do feel like you're expanding the idea. And I feel like this is going to improve, even on a physical level, but even through a connection. Something through connections is also advancing. Now we're going to get into the other cards. This is our sort of the last part of the layout, and then we'll go into tying everything into. So Ace of Pentacles, very grounded energy, like I said, for the most part. So this is, to me, this really indicates there's a lot of action or something that's coming through and around that. This is also speaking to autumn, and it does seem to be about a new enterprise situation with something that's in around the autumn energy. Like I said, it definitely speaks to prosperity. It certainly does bring in a new financial opportunity, could be a new job for some. And again, for August, this can be a new job that's coming in. Two options for those of you that are looking for jobs. For others, this kind of speaks to another maybe side job or something along that line that could be the start of a new career path. But either way, the timing seems to be right. It seems to be right here. It does feel like there's some kind of social enterprising aspect to this, but with this one, this is more along the lines of, kind of building something up. And it does feel like it's action. It's putting the money to something to get it to grow. It's more of a long-term solution, but again, it's still advancing it in some way with a new start. So I feel like, again, a lot of grounded energy because the main ones out were the Ace of Pentacles, the Nine of Pentacles, the Four, the Three of Cups, again, a social, avenue that's taking place. But there is something here that benefits you, I feel, in a financial way, an investment that's about to pay off or something new that can have more of a long-term sort of payoff. But I definitely feel like it's long-term security that you're headed toward regardless. And the cards that follow, again, is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the clarifier. So there's something here that also speaks to a big change, a fortuitous change. It's not the main card out, but it is certainly moving in the direction of a change. So whatever this new idea is or whatever this new thing is, the Wheel of Fortune is an indicator that you're almost, in this space of something growing. It's a promotion for some, a new job for others, but it's a change from whatever your previous situation was. I do feel like it is a connection to luck and destiny with the Wheel of Fortune, and it certainly is like a turning point in your life. So there's something here about, there being more flow of some sort. And there is going to be a communication possibly a little further out from July, maybe in July for others. But it is going to be something of a win, something that feels like it's, again, puts you on the map. It gives you a sense of kind of a karmic energy, like I said. But it definitely feels the timing is right for something to come through or something to come in. So again, if you've been stuck in a rut of some sort, it feels like that's about to change, especially with the Page of Cups. So a lot of energy here around a new cycle because the Wheel of Fortune, of course, is a 10. When we get to finances, like I said, I feel like this could also be, not seeing a lot of people in this read other than there is a social event taking place. But when we get to the Page of Cups, like I said, that definitely indicates there is going to be some kind of information that's coming through. Could be also dealing with a younger person where there's some kind of a victory or some kind of change in around a younger person here as well. But either way, the pages sort of denote that sense of a warmer invitation or Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, so more of a synchronistic event, especially when it's next to the Wheel of Fortune card. But there is definitely something here that's more possible. So you want something meaningful, a meaningful change, and I feel like that's what's coming in there with that Wheel of Fortune, Page of Cups. And again, there's going to be some kind of information that comes through here as well. So I do feel like this is also a new level of an emotion of some sort that's coming through that just helps to create some kind of new beginning. So it feels like something is more on an upward swing, especially when it comes to a new idea that is more concrete. Feels like more things are possible for you month of July. And again, even in terms of emotions, it feels like there's more positive emotions versus any negativity here. I don't really feel any real negativity. July seems like it's more of a self-improvement period. But either way, let's kind of get into it. And I do have some other cards from the Archangel Power, which we'll also get into, but I'll keep those on the side for just a minute, and then we'll kind of go into the start of this. And we'll tie it all there and kind of go through some of the signs as well that are sort of involved. So like I said, the Four of Pentacles is still that card of kind of holding back in some way. So overall, I feel like the spread itself has more of a level of empowerment through self-worth and creativity. There's material independence, all of that that's coming through. I do feel like you are, as I mentioned, predominantly focused on your finances, and I certainly feel like this is about emotional growth, new beginnings. There is some kind of reconnection, especially with that Page of Cups energy. Three of Cups is also there. Now, I do feel like, this is that energy of I need to hang to the finances. I need to hang on to, my private or my quality time, something like that, because I might feel like I'm going to lose something here. So it's building back. It's still a level of scarcity thinking, although I don't feel like it's taking action and there's still movement. So I don't feel like you feel like there's losses necessarily, because I feel like you've replaced that kind of thinking with I can trust my life. Because we have the Ace of Wands, we've got the Knight of Wands. And I feel like overall, especially too with the Nine of Pentacles had come in here, this is about you feeling a lot more safe, a lot more grounded. You thrive more so in your resourcefulness. You know your worth. You know what you're capable of, or what you've already been able to, show up for. You've shown up for yourself consistently enough that you feel like you can trust yourself and get opportunities. So we also, with the Ace of Pentacles, because there's a lot of Pentacles here. With that Ace of Pentacles and that Three of Pentacles, again, I feel that's a new job, a new opportunity, or it's the beginning of a project. But I feel like there could be a level of collaboration as well that's involved. That could be around a social event, as I mentioned, with that Three of Cups energy. And we all Three of Pentacles, so that's upgrading, and that could be involving other people, although I don't strongly see a lot of other people coming in that way. But it's feel like it's more material self-sufficiency. So you feel like you've got something that is you're getting possibly rewarded for, or there's some kind of income that comes in the month of July that helps you to feel like you've got more in your corner, I suppose. The Six of Wands energy that came out, again, that was sort of with the bottom of the deck energy, but it is a card of success and acclaim or public recognition. Certainly does speak to, praise for your work or something along that line. So this could be something that's also a little further out that could be taking place. So again, these are the clarifiers, but there is definitely some very strong energy around financial improvement. And again, whether it's all coming in the month of July remains to be seen, but there are elements of that being here. So we also have you sort of staying in what gives you financial growth. It does indicate that you're taking more of a safe traditional route, even though there's this energy of one kind of risk things and move things ahead a little faster, because that's kind of an impulsive energy. But I don't feel like you're there. That's where you're wanting more full structure is what I see here with a lot of the other cards. I feel like your momentum is one of not scattered effort and energy. There's more planning with this, any kind of pentacle energy. Now, I did indicate we are moving into that Three of Cups energy here. So, and also with that Page of Cups that kind of fell over here. So in those two, I would say that, there could be some kind of a relationship, whether this is friendship or romantic or otherwise, but if there was a falling out with a particular relationship, I feel like that connection is coming back in again. And this could be more of a softer energy. There's more of an apologetic kind of energy, or some kind of emotional reconnection. Now, we also had, and I think that card actually fell out, guys, but I did have the Fool 2.0 that came through. Oh, there it was. Sorry, that was at the bottom of the deck, which I forgot to show you there. But the Fool 2.0 is a card of doing something over again and doing it successfully. But it's upscaling it. You know better, you've learned, and you know how implement something. So there's still that fresh start energy. It's still that childhood kind of, it doesn't have to be childhood specifically, but that energy of curiosity. But it definitely feels like there's an emotional new starting, a new kind of thing with it. So again, we had the Ace of Wands, so it could be a passion that's rekindled in you. For some of you, that is more of an exciting connection to something that could be in around writing or something creative. But either way, I do feel like it's a trying again sort of feel, but it's doing it differently. Now, we also had, as I said, the Knight of Wands that was out here, which is still more clarifying energy. But it does indicate if there is someone that's coming in here, Aries, Sagittarius. We also had Pisces, Cancer energy with the Page of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, sort of Sagittarius energy. And the Pentacle cards, a lot of them out here. So again, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn could also be relevant. But either way, the energy is dominantly material focused is what I would say there. Now the obstacles is, again, even though I still see a lot of movement around the finances, the obstacles were more along the lines of, that loss of, losing control of your money, or having the potential for burnout, or being inconsistent in some way that you feel might create some kind of imbalance. Or it's also kind of that energy of overgiving without having clear structure or, a direction. So there is some kind of internal resistance that does show up here to not experiencing full joy. The play is kind of I would say that you want to restart something here again and be more excited, but there is, like I said, some element hidden fear of sort. Now, I don't want to focus too much on that because most of the cards were very positive. So again, even with the Ace of Pentacles, I mean, that really tells me that, and especially with the wheel, change, with the Wheel of Fortune, very positive, 10, you're almost in the energy of something very fortuitous coming through. But I still, either way, feel like you're entering a window of opportunity where, when you act with courage, and that's really what this card is about, when you go forward and you act with courage, the reward will arrive a lot faster than you expect. Nine of Pentacles, like I said, is telling me that, you've done the inner work. This is more of a harvest. So, people are starting to see your value now. And again, even when we get to the Three of Cups, this is something about, community or people starting to come back in. And emotionally, this is, obviously more of a happier time frame for you. So I'm going to just kind of break it down in terms of sort of the timeline maybe here for July. So I would say July 1st to the 10th, because that was where we had that Four of Pentacles energy. I would still say that is more along the lines of, with the Knight of Wands, you're cautious, but you're restless. You're being pulled toward action, but you feel afraid to spend or to invest in something. The advice here would be to reflect on what are your habits, versus what's truly aligned for you. Always investing in yourself is a good thing, so anytime you invest in yourself, you're growing and you're giving yourself tools to expand. July 11th through to the 20th is kind of where I see that Three of Cups next to the Ace of Wands. This would be more, and of course that was also followed up with the Nine of Pentacles. So I would say that's along the lines of getting together, where there's more reunions. It's more of a creative, social kind of energy, and it's more of a time where you can be recognized for things that you do. And the advice is, yes, go ahead, enjoy those connections, whatever your ideas are, maybe launch them, express them, and treat yourself maybe to some kind of little small luxury, small thing that you've wanted. Now, the Three of Pentacles out here is also indicative of coordination. We also had that next to the Ace of Pentacles with the wheel. Ace of Pentacles with the Wheel of Fortune. And like I said, and then the Page of Cups coming in here as well. So that really speaks to a door opening. And again, that could be a job, that could be a gift, that could be somebody, an emotional message, someone coming forward. But either way, I feel like it's unexpected good news, and it feels like it's emotionally opening you up in some way from someone you didn't expect. And I do feel like, again, the advice is stay open, stay soft in this moment because you're being offered something stable and real. And I do feel like I said with the Four of Pentacles out there and that 2.0 card with the Fool, that energy really speaks to, even though it's a sense of feeling like you're gripping tightly to something, you don't actually have a sense of ownership over everything that's happening for you. And so because of that, it's a little hard to kind of hang on to something that, how do I put that? It's hard to hang on to something there because things change. And so what I want to say there is know that you have the wisdom that you've earned through possibly some scars and some injuries here. But you have the wisdom to be able to move forward here and start all of these new beginnings. It's time to allow your life to happen, to show that you've learned something, put that wisdom to good use. So I feel like the main focus again with this reading is more along the lines of wealth expansion, creative growth, and there's some kind of emotional renewal, someone coming forward where there's more that unexpected. I feel like your mood is going from fear to more of flow, and I feel like you're going from control, wanting to control things to more of a trust aspect, and that's what is kind of leading you toward more liberatory energy. But I still feel like, again, you're going from cautious energy to more opening up, more of a celebration. I feel like, again, this month really holds tight around that energy of being self-reliant, and I feel like it's more creatively powerful for you in this period. I feel like whatever this key relationship is to you, there is more of an emotional reopening with someone sensitive or younger. Could be also dealing with your inner child, and there's a healing moment there as well. But I feel like the shift is around your finances, your career. And I do feel like that opportunity is destined or fated in some way for you to move into it. Now, the last card's out this is also more specific to a particular relationship, is Five of Gabriel. There's some changes taking place. So a challenge you can resolve, withdraw from the drama of others, have patience with yourself and those around you. There's an at hand. Success comes from objective compromise, self-control, patience, forgiving, and healing energy. Four of Ariel. When you give, you also receive. Being resistant to change, which is also showing up with that four. Dreams in how you save or spend money. Eight of Ariel, take pride in your excellent work. Practice makes perfect. Consider getting additional education or training. And then we have Nine of Ariel. I'll tie this all in together as well. Your dreams are fulfilled. Hard work leads to great success, a love for the beautiful things in life. And that's a very good card, especially with the Nine of Pentacles. It's like you're destined for something that's quite significant financially. Everything happens for a reason. Release regret, the opportunities for happiness, search for the silver lining. Last card out, Ace of Raphael, a positive new emotional experience, which was also indicated in the other cards, fulfilling in the tarot, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insight. So to tie it all in together, again, it's very powerful cards. It does feel like more of a karmic healing journey. Again, this can be whoever the significant person is to you, whether this is romantic or familial. It does feel like there's been a past hurt, there's current tension, and that's being transformed through patience, individual growth, new emotional beginnings, and it feels like the bond is not broken, it's just transforming. So because there's so many positive cards, and solution card is out here. So initially, feeling overwhelmed and likely internally conflicted, you or another person or both, doesn't want to involve you in the chaos, this other person potentially. But there's emotional, and mental sort of issues kind of the person is dealing with. And this could be somebody that's pushing you away. So, this person could be sort of struggling with their identity or something like that, or there's tension or there's guilt, something along that line. But when we get to the card of solutions, this is, of course, grieving something that is lost. This is, kind of that energy of when things felt safe or lighter, there's sorrow, there's some kind of hope here in the background that you don't actually see though. And I feel like with the solutions next to the Four of Raphael and of course the Eight of Raphael, there's still a lot of loving connection, an emotional depth to those cards. And again, that could be toward the end of July or early August. But it feels like this person may have some difficulty express. They want a new beginning with you in some way. And it does feel like it will emerge, though, over time here. Again, with the Four of Ariel, holding on tightly to what once was out of fear, that if you let it go, it'll drift far. There is a protective instinct here. May feel like pressure or control, something like that. When we to the Eight of Ariel, this is that energy of you're willing to do the work, or the other person, to understand each other, to read, to learn, to spiritually grow, dedicated to the healing process. So there's a very positive card in that. And then we all have the Nine of Ariel, which is deep down, this is a wish for peace. This is a wish for stability, joy, and to see each other thrive independently. And that's really possibly what this space is all about. So there's something here about, something being fulfilled, something being more of a proud moment where you're emotionally open. And it does feel like there may be silent pride or a love for how far someone's come, even if it's hidden under pain right now. There is, again, cards of solution here, and especially with the Five of Raphael, solutions is the Temperance card. So it's about a healing bridge. There's more patience in the month of July with this person. There's more forgiveness. There's more of a blending or a reconnection to release the need to correct and instead just to hold space for that person, to allow them to kind of balance out and integrate their own lessons. And so it's more along the lines of divine timing. I would still say that there is more compassion and more healing, and rather than advice. So that's what I would say around that connection. It's more letting go of the urgency to fix something, and more along the lines of, trying too hard to repair something. It's more about releasing the pressure so that it's safe enough for someone to come forward and reconnect. And what can I say to get through, would be more along the lines of what can you do to make someone feel safe or open. When someone speaks, reflect only understanding in this period with their person. Don't try to correct them. It's more along trusting that the soul is evolving in some way. So, and that trust that love will lead you back together is what those cards kind of speak to. And again, even when we kind of reflect back to the Five of Raphael, this is still, teaching you that loss is often the ground from which the bond can regrow. So, whatever this karmic dance is between you and this person, there's something here that kind of speaks to the story not being over. The heart is still capable of healing, and there is still a level of sharing that wants to come through. So now to July 10th, there's more emotional distance in work on both sides. Someone may be still pushing you away or staying silent. And then by July 11th to the 20th, there's more personal healing. Again, that's coming through with the learning aspect. Eight of Ariel, Nine of Ariel, something deepens. You don't reach out for emergency because you're building on strength. And then from July 21st to the 31st, there's more of an emotional softening. That's where the Ace of Raphael comes through here. And again, someone feels the other person energetically before they actually speak. So a message, eye contact, a gesture is kind of signaling some kind of a change there. And again, from August onward, I feel that's when there's more continued patience, but there's a new connection where something is seeded, which is more of a deeper connection. So I feel like it's built on emotional truth, and there's more of a soul acceptance. So I feel like the final message out here is the love is in a safe container, where each person is kind of remembering who they are again. And I feel like there is more of a willingness to learn, go and trust that divine timeline, and that things are working out quietly. So there's something here about, there's something here about support. And maybe if you're visualizing that as well in a daily way, an affirmation of that reconnection, it'll make it easier for that to take place. So overall, I would say the cards are pretty amazing. As I said, there's a lot of work still being done in the month of July. So keep moving forward, and definitely message of remember who you are for sure. But keep moving forward, never give up. We'll see you in the next read, and I might still do one out here again for June the last couple of weeks. Just wanted to jump into July. So, and we'll do a couple of other signs too. Moving forward, guys, see you in the next read.